This channel is made possible by viewers like you. My viewers, subscribers, and patrons greatly help to keep this channel going. I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for all of you. Please make sure to subscribe so you don't miss any uploads. And if you'd like to go the extra mile, please check out my Patreon page. For just $1 a month, you'll get access to what I'm working on, previews of upcoming content, and even early videos, along with other tier options for those that are interested. Thank you, and now on to the video. Robocop Rogue City seems like the type of title that is exactly what we need right now. Something beloved from the past, brought back, and actually and hopefully done well with the respect and care that we want. Too many times we have seen and honestly still see modern day writers and entertainers bring back beloved properties to then not make something for the audience that actually loved it to begin with. Instead, many hacks use these opportunities to try and springboard off their terrible ideas or even worse, preachy views. This usually results in disrespecting the characters, world, and overall consistency that any fan would pick up on. The developers for Robocop seem like they actually care and they have the talent to make a game that I hope will deliver on a memorable experience. I had a chance to play a bit of it during the preview build, and yes, there's a lot of fan service for sure, but there is a solid and really fun game here as well. Something that I see when looking at modern entertainment writing and journalism is that in too many cases, fans of beloved series are mocked, ignored, or even berated because they do not like the interpretations of a property revival. That in their eyes shows that the people making it don't really care about the world they are involved with. If the original fans of something are mad at how you are making something today, maybe look at why that is. Fans are a passionate group of people and very vocal on their opinions. While they didn't make the property that they love, they live it and relive it as they watch, play, or even read it again and again. It's their escape, so it's personal to them. My point with this is that in an industry where it feels like these fans are ignored or worse, the developer of Robocop feels like they are actually one of those fans and have the skills to now make something new for that beloved property. Just like with the Terminator Resistance game, this feels like a game made by the fans for the fans. Plus, they really know how to deliver that fan service and what you would expect from a title like this. Lots of violent shooting along with the musical theme playing in the background. At the same time, Rogue City knows when to take a step back and work really well during its quieter moments, either through its promising story, investigations, and even just talking to NPCs. These are elements that I did not initially expect when first diving into this title. You come for the violent action and stay for the more nuanced moments that show we have a capable set of writers that seem to know and actually care about the Robocop world, characters, and universe. In one of my prior videos, I brought up how I love when we see actual stars from their films voicing their characters within a game. I love the Lord of the Rings games, and it was extra special when EA was making all those good movie tie-in games, from Two Towers to The Third Age, and in many cases, much of the cast would return to voice their characters in the game. This brings a certain level of authenticity to the experience, and for that, it makes you feel like you actually are in the movies you love. The same can be said when this happens for something you just didn't expect as well. Before Visceral Games was even known as Visceral Games, and even before they made beloved original properties like Dead Space and Dante's Inferno, they were really good at adapting existing IPs. And for one game, they went a bit ambitious with making a game all centered on the Connery era of Bond. This means we were getting the classic look and style to Bond, the original and very first. But the icing on the cake was that Sean Connery came back to voice the character. Now sure, he sounded older and not like how he was in the earlier films, but it was him. And now, just like with the original films, we get this time capsule of sorts, where we can revisit the game and actually play as Bond with the original actor back in the role. I'm sure a sound-alike would have probably been cheaper for the studio, but having Connery there showed me that Visceral actually cared. So how does this relate to Rogue City? Well, these developers managed to get Peter Weller to reprise his role for the game, which means we are getting the genuine article when it comes to Robocop. Apparently when he walked into the studio, he got right back into the role immediately. Weller even provided collaborative efforts with the team on how Robocop would say lines, or even suggest alternatives that might fit the character better. And based on my time with the game, his delivery feels like he never stopped being Robocop. I am so happy they managed to get Weller to come back, and it uplifts the entire thing. If I had to point to one area that I felt Terminator Resistance could have been just a bit better, would have been to have some of the original cast members to return and voice their counterparts within the game. It wasn't that the voice acting was bad or anything. Generally it was really good, but to add another layer of authenticity would have been even better. But I'm glad they managed to do that for Rogue City. One thing is certain is that if the rest of the game is like this preview build, then I think we're going to have something really amazing on our hands here. I do like how there's a combination of more linear and open-like levels present here. The first level is exactly what you would expect with constant shooting. You feel like you're a walking tank thanks to the herky-jerky movement. It seems like the developers were trying to capture the feel to how Robocop looks to move. The over-the-top violence is great and honestly plays into the game's sense of humor as well. Robocop's script knows when to be funny, or to throw in a good line to make the player feel awesome and chuckle at the same time. Plus, the punching and tossing around enemies never got old. Something else that deserves praise, which I think enhances the enjoyment of just walking around and exploring each of the environments, is how the developers managed to capture the look and feel from the films. The open world section was a nice surprise because there's a handful of side stories to complete, and then they didn't really feel like busy work, but rather enjoyable narratives that you want to do. Oddly enough, they kind of reminded me of the recent Deus Ex games, where the side missions in those are good stories, and you don't want to skip out on them as well, while also playing as a Robocop-like character in them. Investigations feel very inspired by point-and-click games, and I like how there's plenty of dialogue exchanges between different NPCs, victims, and potential suspects. There does appear to be some element of choice as well. Considering the preview build is only the early portion of the game, I cannot tell how this will come into play as part of the full experience, but I am intrigued how involved they are. It could potentially play into enhancing the replay value for this as well. Something else I'm curious about is that do you get to explore this open level again, either through returning back to this area or maybe there are other open levels in the game as well. It does appear like Robocop might have a similar flow to it, like Terminator Resistance had. Linear stages that are more focused with more open levels to provide these options to just take it all in. Either way, I'm excited for this one. Robocop Rogue City is shaping up to be a title that I'm really excited for. When you look at the developer's history, I see many like to point at the lackluster Rambo title that they made. Personally, I have not played it, so I cannot personally speak on the quality of it, but the game did not seem to be received well at all, which is why I think when Terminator Resistance came out, it surprised a lot of people because while the trailers were decent, once you got your hands on it, you could tell that you were in for something special, especially as a Terminator fan. I love that game, and it's one of my favorite titles in recent years. So when they announced they were going to tackle Robocop, I got really excited for it. If Terminator Resistance was their redemption, Robocop is hopefully going to be the solidification and show consistency in making great titles. The fan service is on full display here, but there's also plenty of smaller moments that show me that we have a set of writers and developers that seem to actually care and understand the characters of this world. Much of the nuanced elements that make Robocop interesting and special are present here as well. So now we just have to wait and see if the full game can deliver based on this nice surprise that they have presented so far. Are you looking forward to Robocop Rogue City? Have you played Terminator Resistance? Let me know all of this in the comments down below. If you're interested in being notified of new videos, please hit the subscribe button and bell. And if you would like to support the channel and get early access to content, please check out my Patreon. All of the links will be at the end of this video and within the description. And thank you very much for watching.